Hi guys, how's it going today? It's Jeremy Felt from Harvest Realty. Today we are looking at the contract to buy and sell residential in Colorado. So there's a lot to it. I'm not going to cover every single line item today, but give you a good overview of what you can expect when you're receiving an offer or making an offer and some of the things that you want to pay attention to. So the very first thing at the very top and then later down at the bottom of the contract, it has these disclaimers, and it's really important to pay attention to. It says this form has important legal consequences, and the parties should consult legal and tax or other counsel before signing. So if something isn't making sense um, to you or to the agent, sometimes people put in really kind of wordy paragraphs or different things into the contract. And if it's not making sense, no shame in that, but bring in other professionals that can help you. I would always recommend talking with a CPA, whether you're buying or selling. What are the tax consequences of this? Here's how much we're potentially going to make. Here's what we're purchasing. What does that look like for us moving forward? And then an attorney, is there anything in this contract that could come back to bite us or that we need to be aware of? It's very, very important. There's a lot to this contract. We don't want to just get in the fast forward mode of scroll to the bottom, click accept or sign, and move on. We don't want to do that. So in the contract, there's a lot to it, but the heart of the contract really is in section 3 and 4 because everything else kind of revolves from that. As you can see, we have item numbers, 1, 2, 3, and so on, and then over with the reference and the section that is referenced for that. So you can always go to this, look at whatever item that is in question, when is the date for that, and then go to that section and read in more detail what exactly does that mean? What does the inspection process look like? What is the appraisal process for this type of loan? So the very first thing in item number 1, the time of day deadline. I always recommend leaving this blank. No one wants to be doing business until right before midnight. But if we get cute and make 3 p.m. or 5 p.m. or whatever, we can be running up against a deadline and someone didn't get off work in time to sign a contract or sign a document, and now we're out of contract. Then we have to go back and try and revive it, which is a lot of work. No one likes to do business late at night. The goal is to get it done as early in the process as we can. That doesn't always work out. The earnest money, where is it going? Who's going to be holding it? How much is that? That needs to be laid out in the contract. So that's item number 2. 3 through 8 deals with title work. So basically the public record and history of the property. Does it have any liens against it? Is there an IRS lien? Is there other tax liens? Is there a mechanics lien against the property? Those are things that we want to know moving forward in a contract. So we will get that title work. We'll review it. Again, if we need an attorney to help us review it, we will do that as well. And the title company is looking for anything on and off the record. Are they delinquent in paying their HOA bills when we're buying? We don't want to pay for that. We want them to pay that at closing. Is there solar that needs to be paid off at closing? Those are different things that we want the title company to help us basically research the history of the property and figure out. 9 and 10 deals with owners association. So if the property is not within a common interest community or an HOA, then you're really in luck and don't have to even worry about that. A lot of properties do fall in an HOA. So you want to be able to review the documents, the covenants, the restrictions, the minutes, the bylaws, any amendments that they have, and review all of those. So you're moving into a property and you want to, work on cars out of your garage as a little side hustle. Well, if the HOA does not allow that and you purchase the property, you may not be able to use it to its full enjoyment or its highest and best use, and you want to be aware of that. Seller's property disclosure. We're going to get a document from the seller, potentially. They don't have to. That's giving the history, any issues with the property, how old are the appliances, has there been any leaks or fires or anything like that that we need to be made aware of. That will go through that. Lead-based paint, if it was built before 1978, we're going to want to get that form disclosure to make sure that there is no lead-based paint on the property, whether or not the current owners know of it or not, and then maybe do further assessment based on that. Loan and credit, if we're using a loan to purchase the property, then we want to apply for that loan. Technically apply after you go under contract, so we don't put completed in the date. We put 1 or 2 business days, whatever the case may be. The terms deadline, again, we want to, from the seller, we want the seller side, we don't want to give a buyer all the way up into closing. If there's something that should take a week, let's give them a week. Don't give them 3 weeks to do something that they should be doing early on in the contract. So the loan terms, availability, all of that will be them getting all the documentation to their lender, making sure they're approved for the loan, that it's available, that the terms are up to their standard, and that they're going to move forward with that. Then we have appraisal. In financing, appraisal, and inspection, those are kind of the 3 biggest hurdles, not the only ones, but those are the 3 biggest to getting to closing. So an appraisal is just an opinion of value by a licensed professional. They're going to go in, look at the property, look at other comparable homes that have sold in the area recently, and do their best to assess the value of the property. Now, if it comes in at or above value, we're good. If it comes in low, then buyers and sellers need to figure out how they're going to make up that difference. Is the seller going to come down in price? Is the buyer going to bring extra to closing? Or is it going to be somewhere in between? Survey and ILC, that's if we need to get a survey done on the property for property lines or an improvement location certificate because it's a new construction or something like that. We need to put, when do we need to have that done by, who is ordering it, who's paying for it, and then who's going to get the actual ILC and survey. So that's something that a lender and the title company will also work with us to get in order. And then we have inspection and due diligence. If there's any water rights that need to be examined, let's put a date to that. Any mineral rights, let's put a date to that. Inspection, we want to get our inspection early on in the process. We don't want to wait to the last minute. If there are any issues with the home, we either want to have the ability to terminate the contract and get the earnest money back, or we want to object to certain items that we want fixed before we move forward with the contract. And then if it's not resolved, then it'll automatically terminate if there is no resolution. The pattern of the contract is pretty similar. There's an ability to review documents, inspections, appraisals, all of that. There's the ability to object and then come up with a resolution, or if no resolution is met, then you can waive the objection or let the contract terminate. It's kind of that same pattern for all of these different items. And then we want to get our property insurance, make sure that it's not high, it's not a flood zone or fire zone that we're not aware of. We want our due diligence documents, anything that the seller has that they can provide to help us better understand the property and what we're getting into. Does the buyer need to sell a property to purchase? Then we would put a conditional sale in there. The lead-based termination deadline, we need to get that form and figure out if there is or is not lead-based paint, and then have the ability to terminate if there is. And then closing date and possession date and time. When are we going to close? When are we going to take possession? And at what time? Usually we make that right after closing. Not always, but sometimes people will need an extra few days to get moved out. Sometimes buyers aren't okay with that. It's just, again, another negotiable item where we can figure out how and when we're going to take possession. It's always the best if we close and everyone goes their separate ways and it's all complete. No one wants to be the landlord for 3 to 5 days or 30 days or whatever the case may be. But those situations do come up, so we need to put it in writing. How are we going to take possession and when are we going to take possession? And then section 4, obviously, that's the first thing people ask. Hey, we have an offer coming in on the property, or we're writing an offer. How much is it for? Okay, so what is the purchase price? So the terms, that's one of the biggest things that we want to know right away. What is the purchase price? Okay. How much earnest money are they putting down? Again, what's the earnest money? Who's holding it? What form of funds are we accepting? So that's all important things that we need to put into the contract. So purchase price, earnest money, Is there a new loan that's going to be taken out to help purchase the property? If so, how much is it for? Is there any assumption balance on a current loan that's going to be taking place? We need to put that in there. Is there any sort of private or seller financing? Not typical, but there may be. We need to outline all of that and make sure that our bottom lines match the totals. So the amount that's being brought through cash at closing, a loan, the earnest money getting bundled into that, and then the purchase price. So all of those items should match up. And then again, you have the item number and reference section that you can look at. Okay, well, what is the earnest money? Go to 4.3. What is the new loan? What are the conditions of that? Go to 4.5. So that's how it's laid out in there. And then you really want to just review everything. I would recommend reviewing it. Whoever your realtor is, have them send you the copy beforehand. Don't sign it. Review it. Get familiar with it. Look at the sections, the line items, even if they don't make sense. Kind of read through it. And then as you go over it, either in person or on the phone with your agent, they can help explain what exactly those items mean. I never, hey, I'm sending it over. Let me know if you have any questions. That is bad practice. We don't want to do that. We want to make sure that we're understanding absolutely everything, even if it takes an hour plus to go over the contract. There is so much in there that we don't want to miss something, or we don't want to put ourselves in harm's way of getting sued or having someone try and come after our assets. So it's really important to make sure we know what we're signing. Talk with your agent. If you need answers, go to their managing broker. Still not getting answers, go to an attorney, go to a tax representative, a CPA, whoever you need to talk to. Make sure that you're doing it to get the best interest. Thank you, guys. Hope you have a good day, and we'll talk to you soon.